about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics.
Harambe YouTube with the newest series of Blade Runner Black Lotus coming out this week. Mine is actually in the mail as a recording. I thought now would be a great time to look at the comic book debut of Blade Runner Black Lotus and get familiarized with this world and with this character again. If you're not familiar with the Blade Runner Black Lotus series, it actually spun off from a Adult Swim cartoon by the name Blade Runner Black Lotus. And this is a continuation of that story, and Blade Runner Black Lotus Las Vegas is going to be a continuation of this story. So I'll read a little bit of the epilogue here. Waking in a derelict complex somewhere in the desert of East Los Angeles, a young woman named Elle, with no memory of her past, discovers that she and several other people have been brought there to be hunted for sport in a sadistic big game safari. Displaying incredible survival and combat skills, only Elle manages to escape the hunt, stealing an encrypted data device from one of the hunters. In the process, determined to find out who she is, Elle finds herself drawn to the nearest city, Los Angeles. There, in the menacing megacity, Elle learns that she is in fact a prototype replicant codenamed Black Lotus, created by Neander Wallace Jr. as an unwitting assassin, part of his plot to seize control of the Wallace Corporation from his father. Elle's quest for revenge and answers sees her hunted by both the authorities and Neander Wallace. In their final showdown, Elle manages to blind Neander with her katana sword before escaping the city. Determined to leave her violent past behind, Elle takes an old spinner bike and heads back to the desert in search of redemption and a new life, free of bloodshed and death. So that is where we are as far as the story goes, and if you haven't seen the cartoon, I highly suggest you watch it. It is brilliant. The animation, it verges on that uncanny valley effect, but doesn't quite get there. It's still aesthetically pleasing, and it doesn't have that disturbing quality that a lot of realistic animation does. And at times, the animation almost looks like live action. And so if you can, check out that series. It is brilliant, and it is what got me into the Blade Runner series as a whole. In the comic form, I still have yet to see a Blade Runner movie. I know that's crazy, but there are so many good comic books that feature this universe. Blade Runner 2019, Blade Runner 2049, Blade Runner Origins, Blade Runner Tokyo. So many great books from Titan Comics, and this is another one. The thing that I like about this aesthetically is that it stands out from the other Blade Runner universe books because it takes place not in an impressive, dark, big city, mostly at night, but in a desert where you actually see this universe lit up and, desolate, yeah, but a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more lively, and a little bit more organic as opposed to the overwhelming urban environments that these stories usually take in. And we start with her in a spinner, and she gets hit with some kind of lead or line, knocks the spinner out from under, and she is beset upon by some bandits that rove the desert, looking to steal what they can, who they can, and sell it. And being a replicant built, for assassination, she handles these guys. And the thing that I noticed about it, we talked about her wanting to flee the bloodshed, is while she easily could have killed these men, she just left them in the desert, took their vehicle into town to the local mechanic to see if the mechanic could fix her spinner, and she's going to trade her the extra vehicle for the repairs on the spinner. and that is where she ends up going into Fracktown. And you see the sign here says, "Welcome to Fracktown. Population and the number 54,321 is scratched out. And written in scratch lettering by it is 786. And so it is, a community that is on a downturn, if you could even call it a community, going from over 50,000 people to just 700. And it is a rough and tumble place, ruled by a heavy-handed boss of of the fracking, and he goes by Barnes. And as he is questioning her, he is cut off by another character here who is a farmer. What is his name? Miguel Roman. And he is the exact antithesis to Barnes. He works on a communal wind farm where he farms natural energy, wind, and sunlight, and they try to be as self-sufficient as possible, as opposed to the mining community of Fracktown, which is all about use, and use more, which extends to their treatment of replicants. And that's something that's going to be a pivotal point of contention that sets the story off, is their treatment of replicants. Not only do they have replicants working in fracking, but they also have what they call pleasure models. And what is happening is there was an auditor sent by Tyrell Corp to check on the condition of their replicants, because, well, we'll find out that it is twofold, this mission. But he finds that out of 32 replicants, only 12 have survived. And so they end the contract between the mining town and Tyrell Corp and Barnes. He knows that the only way he's going to be able to keep the miners happy is to replace the pleasure units that have been taken back by Tyrell Corp. And so they have devious plans to play out further into the series. I am doing this different than most of my reviews. I usually avoid major spoilers. This book is a few years old by now. I think it's probably, it was put out in 2022. And so I am going to go into spoiler territory for this one issue. But there are, I think, maybe 5 or 6 total issues of this run. And so there's still a lot of story for you to catch up on. But what happens is by the time we get back to Elle, she is with the farmer who is taking her back to the communal living area and explained how they stay off the grid and what services they provide, how they provide energy and produce to the mining community in exchange for peace. And we meet this character along with his children, other community members, and his wife, who is the nurse of the community, and she patches Elle up from a run-in with the bandits. And you see Elle is maybe finally going to be getting a piece of that peace, and that life that she's wanted. And so we find her at a very hopeful point, but at the same time, Barnes, being ever greedy, ever ambitious, is all about holding on to power. And where we leave them is Elle in the community learning how to play soccer with one of the kids. And then the last panel we see, the next 2 panels we see her and the kid in a scope, and one of Barnes's henchmen making a plan, surveying the complex, and he says, "Get ready to roll." My mole on the inside says they'll all be in one place for dinner, and that is where we leave it. and where we talk about the duplicitous nature of the Tyrell Corp um, representative is while he has concerns, he feigns concerns for the replicants that have been broken, destroyed, whatever. We know that Tyrell Corp nor humanity has a lot of love or time for replicants, and so that's one clue that it is duplicitous. But at the same time, after he leaves the meeting with Barnes, he goes checking with his supervisor, and the supervisor asks, "Is she there?" And the representative says, not that I can tell, or at least not yet. I'm deploying standard surveillance and widening the search vector. She was seen leaving LA in the direction of Vegas. She's out there somewhere. Isn't Vegas uninhabitable? His boss says. For humans, maybe. He wants her back, Menzies, alive, preferably, but if that proves unfeasible, bring him her head. Yes, Mr. Tyler. And so we see that the representative is under the guise of checking on his product. His main mission is locating L for Tyrell Corporation. And so we have, multiple parties in conflict. We have Tyrell Corp, we have L, we have the peaceful farming community, and we have Barnes and the mining community. And it seems that things are coming to a head. And like I said, this was a very, very good story. And the thing that I like about it that stands out to me a lot in the Blade Runner universe is a lot of times this story is the protagonist, while there may be one like Ash Ashina, it also features a community of replicants and Blade Runners. But this is really focused on one character that you get to know so well and empathize with and sympathize with and really root for. And so in a narrative way, that is how it stands out. The book also stands out, like I said, because of its setting in a desert as opposed to the sprawling, futuristic urban settings of the wider Blade Runner universe. And so it stands out not only narratively and the way that it looks, and I am very, very excited to see, what Blade Runner Vegas is going to be, after she leaves this community. And, I thought that when they mentioned Vegas in this book, when I first read it, I really thought that it was kind of a throwaway line, a plot device, but apparently Vegas is a part of L's wider story. And so I'm going to be I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to render that, what state it's going to be in, and how it's going to add to the lore of the Blade Runner universe. And as far as timeline goes, this takes place in 2032. And so when we compare it to the other Blade Runner books from Titan Comics, this is going to be, timeline-wise, around right in the middle. I believe that Blade Runner Origins starts in the 2010s, and as far as chronological order goes, 2049 is as late as it goes. And so here we're right in the middle as far as chronology. So that's my thoughts on this Blade Runner Black Lotus. I suggest you look for the trade paperback of this. It is a good read that really draws you in. And if you can, find the Blade Runner Black Lotus series on DVD or Blu-ray. You will not be disappointed. It looks brilliant and is really a great story based on this new character in the Blade Runner universe. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. And I will most likely be doing a review of Blade Runner Black Lotus Las Vegas. So stay tuned to the channel for that, and I'll see you next time. Until then, keep reading books. I'm out.